right, so welcome to another episode of Edvanta Alumni Interview Series, where we bring our past students and help you provide some insights into colleges and the application process. And today we have with us Shivam Gujral. So, Shivam, before we start, why don't you just introduce yourself briefly to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi all. My name is Shivam. I'm from Delhi. I went to modern school Vasant Vihar and then joined Edvanta around when I was in 11th grade.
Mhm,
Did profile building and my applications for mainly UK universities with Edvanta
mhm,
and some Singapore and Canada universities as well.
mhm,
Um, so yeah, I had a like one and a half year experience with Edvanta, which was great. Ended up going to University College London in the UK. Studied BSc Economics,
mhm,
and now I'm currently working as a finance analyst at JP Morgan.
Okay, great. My first question to you, Shivam, is while students choose their colleges, they consider a lot of factors, like it should be in a city or
Yeah.
a rural place or like the campus side
Mhm.
student life. So when you were choosing your college or building the college list, what are some of the most
Mhm.
important factors that you considered?
Yeah, so I think a few things. Number one was definitely research opportunities. So wanted to go to university, which was great at not just like their own research, but also providing students with research opportunities.
Mhm,
And I think UCL was a great place because not they just didn't have professors who were doing like great economic and like interdisciplinary research, but they were also offering RAships or had a lot of like affiliated institutes which were sort of run by those professors and sort of like enabling the opportunity for student research. And I think they promoted the research culture, which definitely stood out. Um, Second thing was because, like, as compared to the US, UK in general offers like straight cut to cut degrees, wherein like there's not much exposure to allow for like other subjects. However, with UCL, we had the option like every year to sort of take 2, 3 modules outside of your own department. So, like, for example, for myself, I wanted to like, let's say, explore maths a lot. So, in addition to econ, I did a lot of like my optional modules from the maths department,
mhm,
which I think was like a great mix which was offered by UCL. And I think lastly, I think wanted to be in the city because probably for me at least, like a town can get a bit secluded for especially over a span of 3 years.
mhm,
So definitely wanted to be in the city, A, and B, the city also kind of like offers exposure to, like the financial hub, the work hub, etc. So you can like also, um, while just going to university, you can attend those events for recruiting and everything. So I think the fact that it was a city-based campus also was one of my top priorities.
mhm. Okay. I think that's a very comprehensive answer. I think that should be very helpful. Okay, so moving on, and also you were doing a lot of profile building with us. So do you have
Yeah.
any tips for students who are right now in the application process and are doing their profile building?
Yeah, I think so definitely maybe start a bit early.
Mhm,
So I started around 11th grade, sort of like it gives it like a good one year for your profile building, which I think is a great time. Maybe if you want to like push it a bit earlier, you can start maybe like um like 10th after your exams and stuff. I think like that's a great time because then you sort of get like a good time before 11th start to kind of plan stuff out and then actually use the 11th summer vacation to execute things, which I think is great, and especially like if you yourself are doing sort of those extracurricular activities for a longer period, you
mhm,
would have more to talk about them. You'd feel more passionately about them.
mhm,
So definitely that's the first thing. And secondly, I think where Advanta really helped, and especially during my conversations with Catherine, was we sort of like found a blend of doing something which really shows my interest outside of it. Like
Mm,
outside of the classroom for economics, but also sort of like actually is something that I'll be interested in and I'll be learning a lot of it. So, for example, like doing a research opportunity with like a think tank.
mm,
So, a that was showing something outside the classroom that you're doing sort of economics, public policies of sorts research, which was great. And but then you're also kind of like learning those skills. You're learning those invaluable skills which you'll also not will which you will expand on university obviously, but
mm,
you're also like kind of taking that diverse background into the institution. And
mm,
secondly, I think one of the other things which we did and which I enjoyed a lot was an interview series wherein like I sort of interviewed different economists for a YouTube channel and sort of like posted, advice from economists for people who are budding economists, want to study economics, what's the real world like, what do they do on a daily basis, sort of thing. So these were definitely like a great addition to the profile which universities want to read, but it wasn't just that, it was something which was a great learning experience for me as well. And I think like having that overlap of two things
mm.
really helps. And it sort of like boosts your knowledge as well, which I
Yeah,
think one
I
can
think
keep.
it is very helpful. Like first thing is starting early. I think that really it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
sounds cliche sometimes, but that's the most important tip that
yeah,
student needs
yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Secondly, also the fact that you mentioned it's not just about doing profile building for the sake of resume, but if you start doing research, if you start like doing
Yeah,
internships early on, then the skills that you build
yeah,
once you go to colleges outside India, then it comes in handy.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. And reflecting back, just as soon as you join colleges, you'll probably be applying for like societies, maybe first year internships and those other things. So, and you will definitely have interviews for those. So, now, I mean, like this at the time I didn't know, but like now when I reflect back, and if there's something like I'd probably do more of, or I'd probably wish I'd known earlier,
Mm,
definitely like those sort of things help because at that time when you're sitting those interviews for societies or for first year internships, the only work experience or the only additional experience you have is what you've done in your 11th summer, 12th summer before coming to university and those sort of things.
mm,
So definitely spending time, which is of course great value add, but also something you're passionate about,
mm.
really helps because that'll like show when you're like talking to those people.
Yeah, yeah. Totally. Also, since you mentioned clubs and societies, which
Yeah.
brings to like my next question, I would now like to move to more university specific questions.
Mhm.
So at UCL, how is the extracurricular student life like? And
Mhm.
add on to that is how easy it is to get involved in those clubs.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that firstly, um, UCL like a bunch of societies, and secondly, I'll also caveat one thing that especially when in areas where like if you're in a city-based campus, so for example, UCL,
Mm,
um, you aren't just restricted to UCL societies, but you also sort of get the options to get involved in societies or clubs or like consulting projects, which are across University of London. So there are organizations which will sort of allow you to work along with LS seeking students as well. So that's sort of like a great opportunity, I'd say. So that's number one. So definitely look out for that. And secondly, you and UCS itself, like they have like a massive number of societies, and they sort of range
mm,
from like the most uh, random subject to to the most passionate thing you might feel. I think so. Of course, the basic ones are there like economics, finance, and every subject oriented, but then they'll also have some very streamlined specific ones. So if someone's like really interested in investing or something like that, there are these student funds which they can be a part of. If people are interested in actually exploring how consulting is done in real life, there are different sort of consulting based societies which will actually form a student-based team and uh, make you work with a startup or a mid-cap sized firm and actually advise them on how a consulting project is done. So Definitely, I think a lot of exposure. Then you will have like lots of sports-based societies if you want to get involved in those things. Um, and yeah, I think every once in a while there are also competitions which keep on going on amongst universities of London. So definitely kind of taking part in that, going for taster sessions earlier on. That's all part of the student process, and I think
Mm.
uh, that 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 would be a great experience.
Mhm. All right. Okay, and like the fact that there are consulting clubs, like it can also help you when you start looking for employment, right? Those sort of skills.
Yeah. So So ideally, how it'll go is first year you'll probably so like especially to the answer to your question of like how accessible these societies are. So they'll like for first years they'll probably open up a position for something called a first year representative.
Mm.
So all of these clubs will sort of like open applications for those. You sort of send them like a resume, probably answer like an application question or something. They'll sort of have a short interview with you. If they like your application, they'll offer you the position.
Mm.
And the thing is that again, there are so many that like um you would sort of like play the numbers game of like applying to as many as you're interested in,
Mm.
and then probably like you'll get one of them, and then from there on you sort of you take part in the society, actually get involved in its day-to-days, host events, and then second year maybe get a bit more of a senior position in the club, or like lead the club,
Okay.
and that's the same as to how high school clubs work basically.
Mm.
And but then I think over here the good part is that being part of those societies, and even if not being part of those societies, excuse me, just entering the events as such, that itself will still give you the opportunity to like network with institutions and everything. So
Mm.
for example, I remember first year, there was this event which the Investment Society held, um, and they had like lots of networking sessions with people coming in from banks, from consultancies, from fintech startups and stuff like that. So um, even if I wasn't a part of the society as such, I
Mm.
was still going to its events, and that still helped a lot. So definitely they're quite accessible. You are in loop with all the events they're doing.
Okay.
So it's up to the student as to what they're interested in and how they sort of like navigate those
Okay.
areas.
And do they have like a certain time commitment or it varies from club to club? How does that work?
Yeah, I think it varies from club to club. It also like varies from position to position. So of course, in the first year rep, you're kind of like uh, in the beginning, you're just kind of learning stuff. It's all add-on, and that's why I'm saying that. Of course, like especially when you take up leadership positions and stuff and everything, do take up of societies and subjects which you're actually really passionate about.
Yeah.
Because if you are, then putting in that extra time, you'll actually have fun.
Mm.
But if you aren't, then putting in that extra time will just probably eat up from your studies and those sort of things. And
Mm.
also, I'd say like limit, like um, initially especially when we're all excited, we just tend to sign up and like be a part of like
Yeah.
as many clubs as we want. But
Mm.
once we sort of like come to second year and sort of progress from there, it's good to like prioritize and choose and make like an impact in one, rather than like have your sort of like
Mm.
small involvement.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point because students who enter the first year might get overwhelmed by the number of clubs and
Yeah, yeah,
like join.
definitely. Yeah. But I think like, but it's still like a fun and exciting experience, because then I think like it
Yeah.
like students have their own experience of like navigating through. Okay, uh, there are a lot of options out there, but then by the time you're in second year and you're actually kind of nailing down on what you want to do, everything like starts coming to place. So don't worry if you're in that position. All of us are. I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But then, as second and third year come, you do see everything falling in place.
Yeah, completely. And moving on to like this extracurricular to academics, how challenging were the academics at UCL, particularly in UCL, also in your major also? How challenging are the academics?
Yeah, so definitely, I think it does like I think the course becomes rigorous as it progresses.
Mm-hmm.
So first year, um, so in economics, I think mostly what really comes into handy is maths. So especially like when you're in your school, doing like integration calculus and everything,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure you're on top of that because a lot of it would repeat. And the thing is, it wouldn't repeat as a concept. It would repeat in things like, okay, you're solving a question in, I don't know, microeconomics or something. And there's one step you need to solve. Okay. And you'll think, oh, this step actually takes integral by parts or something. And that's when, like your memory from school will sort of keep coming into play that, oh, the smallest concept I probably learned in like 12th grade, second term, is
Yeah.
now coming into use in my second last step of solving some question. So,
Yeah.
um, economics is basically maths, just being applied to one different area of social science. So definitely, like when you're coming in, just kind of ensure that you remember all the stuff you've done. You'll definitely get like refresher courses on math and stuff when you come in. A lot of the first year modules are introductory. They kind of like get you up to speed to things. And second year and third year are main areas when things actually get really challenging and they actually like test your applications.
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure that when you're in your like 12th grade and you're in your first year, you're actually spending time and understanding the bread and butter because first year they'll actually teach everything as the bread and butter. And from second year and third year, everything like kind of intermingles. You'll see maths happening in some stats area, you'll see econometrics, which is a blend of maths, statistics.
Mhm.
You'll see micro, which is basically just integration and calculus going on. So second and third year, you'll see that, but they also like prepare you well enough by the end of first year to kind of handle uh, those concepts.
Okay, so
Um,
correct foundation
yeah,
in is a must.
yeah, I'd say like reflecting back, I guess the only thing which sort of like will be really, really handy is a very good grasp of math.
Mhm. Okay, all right. Okay, so next question is at UCL, how much of your time was spent attending classes versus
Mhm.
work independently? Like, how you do divide that?
Yeah, I think in not just UCL, but I think it's mostly like a UK universities thing wherein it's more dependent on like spending your own time learning. So there aren't many classes per se. Like for example, in second year, third year, I had maybe 3 days of classes wherein I was doing um, 2 classes per day or something.
Mhm.
So not much of in-person teaching time goes on, but they do expect you to do a lot of pre-reading. They do expect you to spend a lot of time on your own, and I think that's where a lot of the learning lies. They upload a lot of recorded material, and I think especially post-COVID, that's become like even more uh, sort of even more important because they have sort of created many new ways of like sort of recording online materials and sort of posting them such that the actual classroom time can be spent sort of discussing stuff, actually showing the applications of what the textbook says instead of just like kind of repeating the concepts of the textbooks.
Mhm.
So I think do make use of that. It will be, I mean, it's natural to feel that, oh, in school I have a habit of having like a proper timetable going in at 7, back at
Yeah.
2. That's not how like at the UCL would work, or in fact any probably UK university I've heard of work, especially in economics. Like it, of course, depends subject to subject. If you're kind of more a medical student or something, you'll definitely have more in-person time because they sort of spend more time in practicals and those sort of things.
Mhm.
But um, in econ, that's not the case. Um, and so I think definitely I would weigh the self-studying and sort of like reaching out to professors and officers and those other things much more than the actual in-person class lecture time.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So
So
like
I'd say it's more a 60-40.
60% of time is dedicated to independent work.
Yeah,
And it can
yeah.
vary. It can vary depending on the year, I
Yeah,
guess.
it'll definitely vary uni to uni, and it'll definitely vary from course to course. But in a BSc economics, I think me and most of the people I've spoken to from other unis, in my friend circle and those sort of things. That's a consensus. See.
All right. And also, I'd like to know more about, and students applying to UCL would love to know more about the campus. So, how are the
Yeah,
student housing and dining options like? Like, is it mandatory to
Mhm.
stay on campus, or are you allowed to stay out?
Yeah. No, no, no. It's complete not at all mandatory. But though,
Okay.
um, as a first year, I think I really enjoyed staying on campus. I think, when I say on campus, like it like in a city campus, I'd probably mean, so for example, UCL for undergrads at least, they have quite a few housing, which is like walking distance from the main Bloomsbury quad where UCL is based. So I like my first year was in this accommodation called Ramsey Halls, and I spent a year there, and that was literally like a 5 minute straight walking distance. So of course you're very near to the university. You meet a lot of people,
Hmm.
and the thing is, everyone the first year mostly there because uh like second and third year they don't offer housing at all,
Hmm.
like at least on their own accommodations mostly.
Hmm.
So you tend to move out anyways in second and third year, go to like either external student accommodations, basically non just UCL ones. So, but yeah, first year I think definitely a great experience living there because everyone, it's their first time. Everyone's there to kind of make friends, to kind of like be around people. You like we had the option to kind of take the catered opportunity, like the catered service. So every morning and evening we went for like breakfast and dinner, which was in like a big hall. Many people sat together and they ate. So again, that was kind of great to make friends.
Hmm.
People who I made friends there are still like my closest friends. So I'd say like definitely would recommend staying there. But at the same time, there are also like non UCL halls, which are again near UCL or maybe another location if you prefer to do so. It's quite student friendly, I'd say. Though definitely like apply early you want to if you want the UCL halls, like as soon as you've decided, just like that there's a process and you can uh, put in your recommendations, like what's your personal preference, and they'll sort of like allocate you based on that. So my preference was closest to the campus, so
Hmm.
that's how they gave me. But you can choose to have something um, like I want intercollegiate, which is basically UCL, Kings, LSE together. They are they have like one hall, so um, there were those sort of halls as well. But definitely like lots of housing available, so you don't have to worry about.
Okay. Okay. All right. And also, how are the financial aid options like at UCL? Do you get a need-based aid or merit-based? How does that work?
I think in undergrad, like from what I remember seeing, they were more need based.
Hmm.
But I do know that maybe I think at the end of first year or something, there are some merit based which they award. But
Hmm.
I think that's something you can like they keep on updating every year, so one can look at that. website. But from what I remember, it was more need based. But then for postgrads, they offer many merit based ones.
Okay, all right. And also, want to learn about how the placements function at UCL. So, how are the
Yeah,
internship or placement opportunities like, and how does the college support
yeah,
those?
yeah. So, so college supports, I think, in multiple ways. So, UCL has a careers specific department. So you can go there, get your CV reviewed, get your cover letter reviewed, get an appointment, and they'll also host like a lot of networking opportunities with potential employers and those. And they'll also like keep sending you an email like every day or the alternate day with openings. Um, so that's great to have a resource.
Mhm.
And then second, there are many student societies, and they themselves will host a lot of events
Mhm.
with potential careers, like potential uh, with potential placement opportunities and everything. So definitely make use of that, attend those, speak to people.
Mhm.
So those are the two sort of key offerings which there would be. But when it comes down to applying and everything, you would have to like apply on the company portal itself. So there is no sort of like campus recruitment option per se, wherein a company comes to UCL to hire people just from UCL. You'll still be competing with the whole sort of like UK pool of applicants.
Mhm.
That's probably the only sort of caveat there is, and you should be aware about that. You aren't just competing with UCL students; you'll be competing with like uh, the whole of UK, any undergrad who's applying. But definitely use those opportunities to maybe like get a referral from employees, actually like properly nurture a relationship with someone who's working at a firm you like, or you want to be a part of. um, and definitely like a lot of support is that your seniors who've sort of done internships before, seek out to them. Everyone's like willing to help here, so it's just a matter of you kind of reaching out, um, and asking for the right support. Like
Yeah.
guidance will always be given.
Mhm. All right. My next question is, like, do you have an admissions interview to get at UCL? Or
No, no, no,
there's
nothing, no interview.
not even
So
optional?
yeah, no, I personally haven't seen. I know that maybe in the business school, if for like at least for BC economics, there wasn't any. But I know that maybe some programs which are offered by the management school,
Mhm.
they may ask for like an additional question statement or something like that. But again, that probably would depend from application to application. Um, but as far as economics is concerned, there was no interview. It was just you sort of like apply through UCAS. They'll give you a predicted offer. For CBSE students, at least my year, the offer was that you have to get an overall 90%. You have to get economics at 90%, and you have to get maths at 95%. So that was the offer they gave for UC for econ.
And that was a conditional offer based on the
Yeah,
predicted
yeah,
grades. Okay.
yeah,
Right. All right. So this was about it for like the main questions that I had. And I also
yeah,
have this last short rapid fire section where I would
yeah, yeah, sure.
like to give like you to give like 1 or 2 word answer max without
Yeah,
thinking
sure.
a lot. So here it
Yeah.
is. Okay, so give me 1 word to describe your university experience.
Um, entertaining.
Interesting. All right. Your favorite class or course during your studies.
Dissertation in final year.
Your favorite place on the campus.
Um, steps on the main chord,
Steps on the.
like the main chord steps. So we have this main chord where, yeah, it's like a place where everyone like hangs out.
Okay. Your favorite memory from your time at university?
Uh, I think uh, all of all of our friends feeling overwhelmed at the same time,
Hmm.
uh, and then just sort of like breaking down and then reflecting back on those sort of situations 3 years later and being like, okay, finally survived.
Yeah. What do you think is the most challenging part of settling into university life?
Um, Knowing that you would be doing sort of like everything from um, like kind of doing your meals to studying to waking up on time for classes, like everything you'll be doing.
Hmm.
There's no sort of like additional support. I
Hmm.
think that probably hits for the initial 1 month,
Yeah.
but then it also becomes fun. Yeah,
Being by yourself, essentially.
yeah.
Uh, since you're already working in industry right now, so my
Mhm.
question to you is, what was your dream career in high school, and are you doing the same thing right now?
My dream career in high school. Uh, my dream career in high school kept changing, but I think one of the paths, one of the few things I had in mind, yeah, I think at the moment was to like sort of the main one was kind of like do research and academia at some point, maybe later. That's not what I'm doing right now, though. But one of the sub parts was sort of like working in the finance industry for a bit. I think that I am, but definitely I think the research and academia is still on the table.
I hope that that comes through later.
Yeah.
Finally, what was your favorite food on campus?
Okay, so there's this place which I actually found out very recently, now closed, but it was this pizza and wraps place called Stone Wheelies. In one of the UCL cafes, they offered pizza merits, which was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that was about it for the
Yeah,
interview. Before we close off, like if you would like to give any tips to the students who are in the application process right now, just any tips to them, that would be great.
yeah. So I think one thing definitely, in while because I know you'll be doing the U through the U, especially you're applying to UK, you'll be doing through the UCAS forms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you if you're like applying for different courses,
Mm-hmm.
it could be economics one place, it could be economics and finance in another place, economics and statistics in another place. um you'll of course be talking about like things across the spectrum, but be smart about it while talking about them, because there are colleges which identify that you may be applying for an absolutely different course in another place. So if you're talking about something like economics and management, talk about management as a lens you want to explore, like for economics, and sort of like talk about it as an extension to economics. If just
Great.
identify across the 5 universities what's the sort of main common theme you're applying on all, make your personal statement centric to that, and all the other sort of additional subjects you're pursuing at different universities, make sure you're talking about them as a lens. They're still connected to economics in some way, so
Yeah.
that if there's a university which is just accepting your application for an economics course, they would see that as an extension to, okay, this person wants to learn about us statistics through the statistics courses we offer as part of the program. But if at the same time, if the university is seeing that as an application for economics and statistics, they would be seeing as someone who's talking about both economics and statistics. So you're kind of like winning games from both ends. So I think that's one thing uh, which I kept in mind a lot, and I think that probably be, I think, the
Yeah,
only ones.
I think that's a very helpful tip because in my experience, when students are applying to this like interdisciplinary major like economics and finance, economics and management, they tend to struggle with writing their statement because then they are not able to make a decision on how to divide their information
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
what weightage
Mhm,
to give
mhm.
to each of these things. And yeah, I agree because in you if you're applying to UCAS, jotting a personal statement. You're just giving one statement for each college. So it's
Mhm.
important that you
Yeah,
identify that one common theme
yeah,
and approach it accordingly. I think that's a very great tip.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And don't overthink too much because I mean, like at the end of the day, even they know you're applying to multiple places. Like that's the whole platform for. So don't be too hard on yourself as well. But yeah, definitely like keep probably use those as extensions.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that's very helpful. And thank you so much because the answer that you gave were very, very comprehensive first. And secondly, also lots of like honest things about how things function. Just like you mentioned about there is no campus recruitment. So that is like
Mm,
some for everyone to learn about who might be expecting that
yeah,
when they go to UCL. And that's the main idea also to for this interview
yeah,
series provide people
mm,
as realistic
yeah,
insight from people who
yeah,
there for few years. I think that was really I had a great time chatting with you.
yeah. Same here, same here. Thanks so much, Vivek.